Welcome back, everybody. It is time to take a look at the Halloween Horror Nights lineup for 2023. They have released the information on all the different haunted houses, and this is something that I look forward to every year. We're going to be there the first weekend. It opens on September 1st, runs through, I believe, November 4th. So there's plenty of time to visit if you want to go as well. But I'm going to be there opening weekend. I'm going to take you along with me to see all the different scare zones. We can't really go into the haunted houses, at least not here in the Florida park, but I am going to be doing the Behind the Screams tours where they take you into some of the haunted houses, and we're going to do the 6-house tour. So in those tours, you are allowed to take some pictures and some video in various parts of the haunted house, but not the entire thing. So we're going to try and maybe do a video on that, share some of that with you as well. But to get us ready for this year's adventure, we're going to take a look at the website, look at all the different haunted houses and scare zones that they have displayed. I usually like to go into these things blind and kind of experience it all for the first time without knowing too much in advance. But I know some of my viewers out there don't like the way I do that. So we're going to take a look this year and get some firsthand advanced knowledge. Here on the Halloween Horror Nights homepage, you can see they're really playing up The Exorcist Believer. It's in theaters October 13th. So the event dates again are September 1st to November 4th. Let's take a quick peek at some of these ticket options. You have an $80 single admission ticket. There's express passes that get you closer to the front of the line or a shorter line. We've never really used the Halloween Horror Nights Express Pass. If you go early in the season, you can typically get through all the haunted houses in one night if you really put your mind to it. But I think over 2 nights, you certainly have enough time to do all of the haunted houses. Now, the RIP tour is a little bit pricey, but you do get a tour guide that takes you around to all of the different haunted houses. You visit the scare zones and you get dedicated access at the shows. And when you do go to those haunted houses, it's pretty much straight to the front of the line. It does make it for a nice evening. You can do everything in one night, but it is a long night. I think the tour is usually about 5 hours or so to see everything. All right, what else have we got here? We've got the Behind the Screams Unmasking the Tour. Now, again, we are going to be doing that as well. Starts at $120, but I think that's for a 3-house tour. We're going to do the 6-house tour, and I don't believe it's always the same. So if you go to the 3-house tour, doesn't mean you're going to see the same 3 houses as you're going to see on the 6-house tour. I do know which houses we are going to be visiting on the tour. I don't think we've known in advance in the past. If they had sent that information, maybe we missed it, but they did email which houses are going to be on the tour this year. So the Scream Early ticket just allows you some early admission between 3 and 5, but that just gets you to a holding pen area so that you have first access to the haunted houses. When the event opens, you don't have to wait through the big long line. And it is a big long line when you want to get into the park right at opening. Halloween Horror Nights Taste of Terror Dining. Honestly, I've never done that. Don't know what that's all about. Halloween Horror Nights Rush of Fear Pass. So this is what we always get. It's $180, but you get the first 18 nights of the event, and you can go as often as you want. So we'll usually go for the first few nights. I always say, hey, maybe we'll take another weekend down. It's only a 7-ish hour drive to Universal Studios from my house, and we can make a long weekend of it, but we've never done it more than once. We'll usually go for opening weekend, and that's that. All right, Halloween Horror Nights Frequent Fear Pass gets you a lot more dates available. And then there's Frequent Fear Plus Pass. So it helps eliminate some of those blackout dates. And the Ultimate Frequent Fear Pass, I think looks like it includes parking as well. Parking can be pretty pricey. Usually you get free parking after 6 at City Walk, but that is not applicable during Halloween Horror Nights. You do have to pay, unless you're staying at one of the resorts, which we often like to do. If you stay at Cabana Bay, not only do you get the free transportation, but they always have a separate display. So last year it was the Universal Monsters. It's just kind of a little fun extra. I think before that, there was a Stranger Things one. It's like photo opportunities. It's kind of neat. It's a nice little park if you stay there. And Cabana Bay is one of the more affordable resorts. So that's usually our go-to when we head down there. I'm not sure if we're going to stay there this year. I'm not sure we've made those plans yet, but we'll see. All right, so let's get to it. The haunted houses. Here we've got the Stranger Things. Try to escape the curse of Vecna. So Vecna was the main character in Stranger Things this year, and I loved this season. I mean, it has lots of interesting imagery, There's like that red door that's always floating around. And then you have all those scenes that were in the hospital. So there's a lot we can explore. One of my favorite Halloween Horror Nights sets was actually from one of the previous Stranger Year things, actually a couple of different stories. So the very first year we went to the Stranger Things house and one of those behind the scenes tours. And I remember the first scene in the haunted house was one of the first scenes in the movie where you had the elevator doors that open and you see the legs, or there's a scientist in there and he gets eaten. Well, in the Halloween Horror Nights display, you see the elevator and you see the legs of the scientist. And one of the things that I noticed is there was a red button right next to the elevator, and the Halloween Horror, or the Behind the Screams tour guide pointed out anytime you see a red button, you are actually encouraged to press it. It will make something happen. And I think in that case, it made the legs shake. But oftentimes it will activate maybe a water feature or something. Another thing on that line, if you're walking through and you find yourself stepping on those sort of rubber mats that are kind of those honeycomb shaped things, that's to prevent you from slipping when there is a water effect. So if you find yourself walking on those, look for a red button, press it, maybe you'll have some fun water effects. But let's see, this one says, you'll need your squad to resist Vecna's gruesome curse. Like 11, now's your chance to stop him once and for all as you take on the scariest season of Stranger Things yet. There is a view more options, so let's see what this video does.
Thanks for paying attention, Jordy.
Sorry.
Or we just skip to exactly 32 seconds in the video.
Jeez, another conspiracy theory? There's no hidden stuff in the park. Let me text Jordan. Okay, I gotta go. Ava's almost here.
You good? Yeah. Okay, let's go.
Escape Vecna's curse. Stranger Things. Only at Universal's Halloween Horror Nights.
I forgot about that whole clock imagery. Love how it's all floating around. There's so much cool imagery in Stranger Things. I can't wait to see that haunted house. So next up, we have The Exorcist Believer. And this is a Blumhouse movie, I believe, and obviously a Blumhouse haunted house. And they're always based on their IPs, but it's usually, at least that I've noticed, IPs that have recently come out. Last year, their haunted house was Freaky and the Black Phone, I believe. Was that last year? I think that was last year. But I hadn't seen either of those. So you can still go through the haunted houses if you haven't seen the movies, but you are going to lose a little bit of it. I kind of wish that I had seen all the movies before going to the haunted house. I think it might have given it a little bit extra oomph. But let's see what The Exorcist Believer is all about here. It says, an evil reawakened. 2 missing girls have been found with no memory of what happened to them, but wherever they went, the ultimate evil has returned with them. Enter the most terrifying scenes from the new Blumhouse film. So yes, it is a Blumhouse film. They've got pretty good shoes to fill though here, because I know there has been an Exorcist house in the past. I didn't get to visit that one, but if you look back in some of the retrospective videos on previous haunted houses, the exterior facade of the Exorcist house is one of the favorites. It was the facade of the house with a street lamp in front and the priest standing out in front of it. It's very dramatic. Check out other videos if you want to look at previous videos. In fact, I recommend just searching for like the best Halloween Horror Nights facades. Some of them are pretty amazing and you don't want to miss them. And I wish I'd gotten into the haunted houses earlier, but we've only been going for the last, 4 or 5 years maybe. So we've missed a lot of years. There's a lot to catch up on. Let's go ahead and click the view details and watch this video.
This week, we'll be talking about a conspiracy over 2 decades in the making. We'll uncover the truth about what's really going on at Halloween Horror Nights. The signs are everywhere, hiding. And how many times have you gone right?
Drip, drop, drip, drop, drip, drop, drip, drop, drip, drip, drop, drip, drop.
What?
And think it's all an act. Those of us who ignore signs and go alone. What if the legend of HHN is more than just a legend?
The Exorcist Believer, only at Universal's Halloween Horror Nights.
All right, I love the way that guy screams at the end. Hopefully the house is half that good. The video doesn't really tell us a whole lot about it, but it's got some interesting looking characters. We'll see how that goes. Now, I think the next one is The Last of Us, and by now we've probably all seen this show and could see that it was coming to Halloween Horror Nights a mile away. It was practically tailor-made with all of the scary plant people. But let's go ahead and read what this one's about. It says, "Step into the world of The Last of Us. You and your squad will encounter the haunting and overgrown world of the video game in a brand new, terrifying way. Stay silent if you want to survive a multitude of clickers, hunters, and more." Let's watch.
Guys, I'm telling you, it's real.
Why are you so obsessed with this universal legend?
You'd think I'd be used to them by now.
Thanks for paying attention, Jordy.
Sorry.
All right, just skip to exactly 32 seconds in the video and
Another conspiracy theory? There's no hidden stuff in the park.
Hey, are you guys seeing this?
Step into the world of The Last of Us, only at Universal's Halloween Horror Nights.
I really like how these videos really evoke the feel of the shows or what's going to be in the haunted house without really giving anything away. But I think those monsters or plant people, clickers and whatnot are going to be super scary because they're all attacking and always relentless. And I think that's going to be great for the haunted house. There are lots of different monsters, monster designs you can go with. In fact, I remember there are various stages of the monsters. So there's lots of variety, unlike our next haunted house, which honestly, I'm probably looking forward to the least. This is Chucky, the Ultimate Kill Count. Chucky, the serial killer doll, is back for a new gore fest. He's hijacked his own haunted house with all kinds of bloody hijinks. You and your friends must try to survive his ultimate kill count. Now, I think this is one of those houses that are going to be like the Michael Myers Halloween house, where it's just the same masked character over and over and over. And, you know, Chucky, obviously, if they're going to be playing it by a live character, actually, as I say, that wouldn't be cool if they were all like the real doll, like puppets or something. But it's probably going to be a very short actual person, which makes it to me, it just brings you completely out of the believability of the situation. It's almost comical instead of scary. So I hope I'm wrong, but I don't have high hopes. Next up, we have Universal Monsters Unmasked. 4 Universal Monsters, 1 New Nightmare. I'm actually looking forward to the Universal Monsters. They are quintessential Halloween characters, and the last haunted houses that have featured them have all been pretty fantastic. This says, descend into the Paris catacombs, where you and your squad will face a new horde of monsters. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, the Phantom of the Opera, the Hunchback of Notre Dame, and the Invisible Man. Okay, I'm very excited about this. I wanted to do a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde display here in my own haunt. I just never had the opportunity to flesh that out, so I'm excited to see what they do. Maybe I'll take some ideas from them. Phantom of the Opera, I absolutely love. When I was a kid, I went trick-or-treating as Phantom of the Opera a couple of years, I think. I remember reading that book when I was super young. The Hunchback of Notre Dame, I've also read that book, again, when I was really young. Love it. And The Invisible Man, I'm honestly not too familiar with The Invisible Man. Might have to watch that movie as we get closer to Halloween, but really looking forward to that haunted house. Next up, we have Dr. Oddfellow's Twisted Origins. Your soul is a price he's willing to pay. You won't be able to resist going inside Dr. Oddfellow's menacing menagerie of twisted oddities, but the price for you and your friends is steep, the cost of your souls to feed his immortal power. All right, so there's not a lot given away in this. I'm kind of excited, though, by that fact. Who knows what his oddities are and how they're going to come back to scare us. It could just be a big collector's paradise, kind of like that one haunted house for the Night of the Thousand. What was it? The Room in 1,000 Corpses? I don't remember what it was called. Hadn't seen the movie before myself, but when you walk into the haunted house, you just see this museum collection of just stuff. So maybe that'll be it, or maybe his oddities are living creatures. We never know. Next up, we have Dueling Dragons, Choose Thy Fate. No matter who you choose, you lose. 2 warlocks of great power were turned into dragons after trying to take Merlin's spellbook. Now you and your friends are caught in their epic battle. You must choose a path and a victor. Wouldn't it be really cool, though, if you do actually get to choose your own path in the haunted house? I kind of wonder if that is actually what they're going to do. I mean, it does say choose thy fate there, and they actually put it in the description. So maybe you can choose your path within the haunted house. That would be pretty neat. I'm actually pretty excited about this haunted house, too. I love the aspect of the dragons and sort of the ancient mystical realm. I think there's a lot of fun that could be had with all of that. All right, next we have Yeti Campground Kills. Yeti or not, here they come. You and your friends are about to venture into a 1950s campground overrun by huge menacing Yetis who rip apart anyone who gets in their way. You must flee to the Ranger Tower to escape. All right, so I think we did Yetis a few years back. I seem to remember some sort of very frozen sets. I'm sorry, I can't remember what it was called. Was it supposed to be like the Canadian Wilderness or something? But yeah, this is kind of like the Chucky, though, where every scene was just like the same with some sort of scene, but then there's a Yeti that jumps out at you. So you kind of get immune to it at some point. But I did like the claustrophobic feel of those sets. They did look very well done, but the scares just weren't there. Next up is The Darkest Deal. Fame is fleeting, fear is forever. Blues musician Pine Straw Spruce will have you face the music after meeting with the collector and trading his soul for musical glory. You and your squad learn the terrible price of fame. All right, I kind of like the idea of this one. It seems like it's going to be musical themed. Of course, there's the collector. This kind of reminds me, maybe it was inspired by The Devil Went Down to Georgia, looking for a soul to steal. So maybe instead of the devil here, we've got the collector. Who knows? I like where this is going, though. I think it can be very interesting. Next up, we have Blood Moon Dark Offerings. In a colonial-era village, moon worshippers witness a blood moon at their fall festival. They take it as a sign to hunt down any non-followers, including you and your Scream Squad. All right, so I got a time twist here with the colonial era. That sounds very interesting. I'm kind of getting a lot of Chupacabra vibes. From the house last year. Was it last year? Right? Yeah, I think it was last year, where you had the festival goers and they were kind of all leading everybody to the chupacabras. I get the sense that this is kind of similar to that, but we're not going to know until we go, so can't wait for that. So that is the extent of the haunted houses, but of course the scare zones are almost just as fun, so let's see what they are all about. All right, we have 5 sinister scare zones. You'll be just as scared on our streets as our scare actors stalk you through the scare zones. Dr. Oddfellow's collection of horror. Dr. Oddfellow will lure you into Halloween horror nights with a promise of immortality. As he lifts the veil on the horrors to come, you'll soon realize you may not even survive the night. All right, so that sounds like the entrance scare zone. That's kind of like an introduction to all the different scare zones. So obviously Dr. Oddfellow has collected from all of those and is probably going to present those to you as you walk in. We have Dark Zodiac. Dr. Oddfellow has entered a dark dimension to harness the power of the Zodiac and live forever. He twists the signs into malevolent beings who foretell your doom. As his star rises, yours falls. It's kind of another interesting concept. You've got all the different signs of the Zodiac that can be portrayed by the scare actors. We have Jungle of Doom, Expedition Horror. In the 1920s, Dr. Oddfellow ventured deep into the darkest jungle, performing horrific experiments on nature. Now his monstrous creations are running amok and are coming for you. So we've got some nature-inspired jungle horrors. I don't know if that means more like animals or plants, or maybe it's a mix of both. We have Vamp 69, Summer of Blood. At the 60s Music Fest in a small New York town, you'll jam to popular bands with fellow concertgoers until Dr. Oddfellow unleashes vicious vampires on the audience. They're out for your blood. This is clearly a nod to Vamp 85 from a couple of years ago, and I think there might have been a Vamp something or other from even before that. It's a great way to explore that time period. Looks like we're going through lots of time periods here. We had the 20s and now 69. Shipyard 32, Horrors Unhinged. Enter a 1940s San Francisco shipping yard full of mysterious crates and cages bearing Dr. Oddfellow's symbol. Beware, his nightmarish oddities have now escaped, spreading fear and chaos in their wake. All right, so we got the 40s, the 20s, the 40s, the 60s, and who knows what the Zodiac realm portrays, but we got a nice selection there. Should be an interesting display. All right, we also have live entertainment, Nightmare Fuel Revenge Dream. So Nightmare Fuel, I think we went and saw that last year, and it was the same show from a previous year, I believe. So it's nice to see that they might be updating that a little bit. Interesting story. We did the RIP tour one year, and of course, as I said, you get a front row, not necessarily front row, but you get really good seats in the shows. So we went to go see the show, and it happened to be the one show where they had some sort of fire malfunction, and they closed the show right after like the opening numbers. So we didn't get to see the show really at all, and they didn't make it up either. The show plays a few times throughout the night, but they just kind of skipped it and went like, oh well. So it's a little disappointed that you pay so much money for that RIP tour, and then you didn't even get to experience the whole thing. All right, it also says you've got some rides and attractions, dining and shopping, and so forth. So you also have Chucky's Twisted Playground. You can run, but you can't hide. And I think this is the event that is probably the Cabana Bay resort, but you can really stay at any of the hotels and get access to it, and you'll get to see. I think it's just a bunch of photo opportunities, like I said. They do have interesting drink options as well. And then there is some sort of photo adventure, photo hunt, if you want to explore the hotel lobbies. There's nothing stopping you from doing that, whether you're staying there or not. Now, I noticed it didn't say anything about the water show this year. The last year's water show was fantastic, so hopefully they have something like that again this year too. I also didn't see a mention of the tribute store this year, but I heard it's going to be comic book themed, so that should be interesting. Now, I know Halloween Horror Nights can be a little bit pricey, but I absolutely love it. It's one thing that I absolutely must do every year. It's just so much fun. If you haven't been before, all of the haunted houses, I mean, they are like conga lines, so you're never going to be like alone in a room and someone's just going to jump out at you. So it really, if you're kind of more on the chicken side, it makes it very easy because, again, you're just in a big group. But it's so thematic and scenic. It's like Hollywood level movie. It's like a movie inside a haunted house. So check out some videos online if you want to see what that's all about. But I can't recommend it enough. It's just so much fun. You know, even though I've been into Halloween for so many years, I always hated haunted houses. I absolutely hated them until I started going to the Halloween Horror Nights, a few years back and realized how much fun they can really be. So hopefully you'll get a chance to join me on those adventures in person. But if not, again, we're going to be doing some videos, so you'll get to see at least the scare zones and the tribute store and whatnot, and as much of the haunted houses as we can share with you. So you're going to want to stay tuned for that. Before we go, I did want to say a special thank you to all the patrons who help support the channel. If you're interested in joining our Fright Club, you can check out the link to my Patreon page in the description below. That's going to do it for today. So again, thank you so much for watching, everyone. Until next time, take care and happy haunting.
Hello, and welcome to Ghoulish, a tale of Halloween.